Archangel Michael says this is your final chance, not spoken in fear, but delivered with urgency, wrapped in mercy, because heaven does not shout without reason, and it does not knock without intention. There has been a reaching toward you in ways you almost missed. Subtle interruptions, moments that slowed you down, words that lingered longer than usual, feelings you could not explain, and questions that kept returning when you tried to silence them. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. This is the moment where the spiritual realm presses close enough for you to feel the weight of decision. You have been standing at the edge of change longer than you realize, aware that something must shift, yet unsure which direction to take. Heaven has been patient, but patience does not mean permission to delay forever. There are seasons where grace waits, and then there are seasons where grace moves you forward, whether you feel ready or not. You have been protected more times than you know. Battles were fought on your behalf while you were distracted by everyday survival. Doors closed that would have cost you more than you were willing to pay. People exited your life not because you failed, but because they could not follow you where you were being led. You questioned those losses, replayed conversations, wondered if you were too much or not enough, but the truth is simpler and heavier at the same time. You were being preserved. Archangel Michael stands as a symbol of divine defense, not just against visible threats, but against internal compromises that slowly pull you away from your purpose. This is why the message carries urgency, not because God is angry, but because delay has consequences, and every calling has a window. You have felt the pull to rise, to stop shrinking, to stop explaining yourself to people who never intended to understand you. You sense that staying comfortable would eventually cost you your peace. Yet, comfort has a persuasive voice. It tells you tomorrow is safer, that certainty must come before obedience, that clarity must arrive before movement, but heaven works in reverse. Movement brings clarity. Obedience unlocks confirmation. Faith grows when you act before fear agrees. This is why the message reaches you now, not when everything is perfect, but when you are aware enough to choose differently. There are assignments connected to your yes that cannot wait indefinitely. There are people tied to your obedience who will never hear what they need if you remain silent. You may have noticed how distractions intensified when you started thinking seriously about change. Old habits resurfaced, doubt grew louder, fatigue settled in deeper than usual. That is not weakness, that is resistance. Every meaningful shift is met with opposition, not always dramatic, often subtle, designed to keep you tired rather than terrified. If fear were obvious, you would fight it. So it disguises itself as logic, as responsibility, as timing issues. Archangel Michael's presence reminds you that spiritual battles are not always loud. Sometimes they are won simply by refusing to stop, by choosing to stand when everything suggests sitting down would be easier. This is a final chance, not because God withdraws love, but because opportunities move. What you do with this awareness determines what unfolds next. You have been given insight others around you do not have. You see patterns. You sense motives. You feel when something is off long before evidence appears. That discernment is not accidental. It was trained through disappointment, sharpened through waiting, refined through prayer you thought went unanswered. You did not imagine the warning signs. You did not overthink the unease. You were being guided. The message reaching you now confirms what you already suspected deep down, that ignoring the call will not bring peace, only delay the inevitable moment when you must choose anyway. There is a version of you that continues to circle the same mountain, familiar with the terrain, skilled at surviving but never fully arriving. And there is another version that steps forward, uncertain yet aligned, afraid yet obedient. Heaven is inviting you into the second version, not forcing, not dragging, but clearly calling. This is why the message feels personal. Because it is. It meets you where you are, not where others assume you should be. You are not behind. You are on the brink. The pressure you feel is not punishment, it is transition. You have underestimated how much strength you carry because you have measured yourself against people who were never meant to be your reference point. Your path is not loud like theirs. Your calling is not flashy, it is precise. It requires depth, consistency, and courage that does not seek applause. This is why the training felt lonely. This is why validation was scarce. If praise had come too early, it would have distracted you. If ease had arrived too soon, it would have softened you. Archangel Michael's message is not to inflate you, but to awaken you, to remind you that you are capable of more than endurance. You are capable of impact. There are conversations you have avoided, decisions you postponed, steps you half planned but never fully committed to. Heaven has waited patiently, but now the waiting shifts to watching to see if you will act on what you know rather than waiting for what you feel. Feelings change, convictions remain. You already know what must be released. You already know which door you are meant to walk through. The resistance you feel is not confusion, it is the cost of obedience. Becoming real, every calling demands a sacrifice, and the first sacrifice is always comfort. You may be tempted to think this message is meant for someone else, someone braver, more spiritual, more prepared. But that is the oldest deflection. If it were not meant for you, it would not stir you. If it were not aligned, it would not disturb your rest. Peace does not always feel calm at first. Sometimes it arrives disguised as confrontation. Sometimes truth unsettles before it stabilizes. This is one of those moments where ignoring the message will require more energy than accepting it, where staying the same will feel heavier than changing. Archangel Michael stands as a reminder that you are not walking into this alone. Help is not coming later. It is already surrounding you. Guidance is not hidden. It is revealed step by step, not all at once, so that trust can grow alongside movement. You are not required to have the full picture. You are required to take the next step. The rest unfolds as you move. This is how faith operates, not by certainty, but by commitment. You have prayed for signs, for confirmation, for clarity, and this message is not meant to overwhelm you with detail, but to cut through the noise. To say plainly that the time of preparation has met the time of action. You are not being rushed, but you are being invited to stop postponing. There is a difference. Rushing produces anxiety. Invitation produces resolve. What you feel now is resolve forming beneath the fear. Pay attention to that. It is quieter, steadier, more persistent. It does not shout, but it does not leave. This is the moment where excuses lose their power, where the past loosens its grip, where you realize that waiting to feel ready was never the requirement. Readiness comes from obedience, not before it. You have been shaped through delay, not defined by it. And now delay has served its purpose. The message reaches you because the season has shifted. What protected you before will restrict you now if you cling to it. Growth always demands release. There are spiritual doors that open only once, not because God is limiting, but because timing matters. What you ignore today may return later in another form, but it will not carry the same ease. Grace still covers you, but opportunity has momentum, and momentum requires movement. This is why the message carries weight, not to scare you, but to focus you, to pull your attention away from distractions that feel urgent but are ultimately empty, to remind you that what you are called to build requires your full presence, not half-hearted intention. You have survived storms that should have taken you out. That survival was not random, it was preparation. You learned to stand when others collapsed. You learned to listen when others reacted. You learned to wait without becoming bitter. Those lessons were not wasted. They are tools, and now those tools are needed. Not later, now. There are people who will recognize themselves in your story, who will find courage because you chose to step forward when fear whispered retreat. You do not see them yet, but they are already connected to your obedience. This is not about perfection. It never was. It is about willingness, about saying yes even when your voice shakes, about moving forward even when your hands are empty. Heaven fills what you carry after you lift it, not before. This is the order, this is the pattern, and this is why the message arrives now, when you are aware enough to choose but still humble enough to depend. Do not mistake silence for absence. Just because you did not hear thunder does not mean heaven was quiet. Some of the most important instructions come softly, requiring attention rather than fear. You're being asked to pay attention, to stop numbing the discomfort that is actually guiding you, to trust the unease that pushes you toward growth rather than away from it. This is not punishment. This is alignment. You are closer than you think, not to an ending, but to a beginning that requires courage instead of certainty. Archangel Michael's message does not remove your choice. It sharpens it. It reminds you that neutrality is still a decision, and often the most costly one. You are being reached because your response matters. Because what you do next influences more than just your own life. There is a ripple effect waiting on your obedience. You do not need to announce this moment to anyone. You do not need approval. You need resolve. Quiet, steady, unshakable resolve that moves even when no one is watching. That kind of resolve is powerful. It does not depend on applause. It survives criticism. It endures loneliness. And it builds things that last. This is the resolve forming in you now if you allow it. You have carried this weight long enough, not the weight of responsibility, but the weight of knowing and not acting. That weight lifts the moment you choose, even before results appear, even before circumstances change. Decision brings relief before outcomes do. This is the freedom being offered. Not freedom from effort, but freedom from indecision. As the message settles, you may feel both peace and pressure at the same time. That is normal. Peace because alignment is near. Pressure because growth stretches what is familiar. Do not confuse the two. One is confirmation, the other is transition. Together they signal movement, and movement is what heaven has been waiting for. You are not late, but you are no longer early. This moment is precise, meant to meet you exactly where you are with exactly what you have, asking for exactly what is required. Not more, not less, just your yes, just your step, just your willingness to trust that the voice reaching you now is not accidental, not imagined, and not something to be postponed again. Because the path ahead does not require you to see the entire journey, only to take the next step with intention, with courage, with the understanding that once you move, things will begin to shift in ways you cannot yet predict. Opening doors you did not knock on, aligning encounters you did not plan, and revealing strength you did not know was waiting as you move forward into what has been calling you all along. And as you take that step, you will begin to notice how what once felt heavy starts to rearrange, how resistance starts to lose its grip, and how clarity begins to form, not in your thoughts first, but in your actions. And this is where the message continues to press into your spirit, urging you not to retreat back into what is familiar, but to stay present, to remain open, to keep moving even when the road feels uncertain. Because the moment you stop doubting and start walking is the moment everything begins to respond. And as you stand there now, aware of the choice before you, feeling the weight and the invitation at the same time, the next movement depends on whether you are willing to let go of the last thing holding you back and step fully into the direction you already know you are meant to go. Even if that means releasing the version of yourself that has been surviving and allowing the version that has been waiting to finally step forward as the path continues to unfold. And the message does not end here, but carries on through every decision you are about to make as you move into the next moment where everything begins to shift and the rhythm of this calling continues to build, pulling you deeper into the purpose that has been reaching for you all along, waiting for you to respond as the next sign begins to reveal itself just beyond the step you are about to take. And as you hesitate for a moment longer, feeling the familiar pull of comfort trying to reclaim your attention, you are reminded again that comfort has never been your destination, and that the strength you have been asking for has already been placed within you, waiting to be activated the moment you decide to move. And as that realization settles, the message presses on, steady and clear, inviting you not to look back again, but to keep your focus forward. Because what lies ahead requires your presence, your courage, your obedience, and the willingness to continue even when the outcome is not yet visible. As the journey carries on and the call remains alive within you, urging you forward into what comes next as the story continues to unfold from this very moment onward. And as you remain in this moment, something subtle but powerful begins to shift inside you. It is not dramatic, not loud, not something others around you can immediately see, but it is real. It is the quiet surrender of resistance, the slow release of the need to control every outcome before you move. You begin to realize that the hesitation you felt was never a lack of ability, but an attachment to certainty that was never promised. Heaven never asked you to understand everything. It asked you to trust enough to take one step, then another, even when the ground beneath your feet felt unfamiliar. There have been times when you mistook delay for disqualification, when silence made you question whether you were still seen, still chosen, still guided. But silence was never absence, it was refinement. It was the space where distractions were stripped away, so that when the message finally reached you, you would recognize its weight. You were being trained to hear beyond noise, to sense beyond emotion, to discern beyond appearances. That training was not easy, and it was not gentle, but it was necessary. What lies ahead requires a depth that comfort could never build. You may notice now how the past no longer holds the same power it once did. Memories that once carried shame, regret, or confusion begin to lose their grip. Not because they never mattered, but because they no longer define your direction. You are not moving forward by denying where you came from, but by refusing to let it dictate where you are going. Every experience, even the painful ones, has contributed to the awareness you carry now. Nothing was wasted, nothing was random. Even the detours served a purpose you could not see at the time. As the message continues to echo within you, you start to understand that this final chance is not about fear of missing out, but about readiness to step in. It is about alignment meeting opportunity. There are seasons when God prepares the ground and seasons when He asks you to plant. Preparation without planting leads to frustration. Planting without preparation leads to collapse. You are standing at the intersection of both. That is why this moment feels heavy and holy at the same time. It carries consequence, but it also carries promise. You may feel tempted to look around and compare your pace to others, wondering why their paths seem clearer, their progress faster, their confidence stronger. but comparison will only distort what is uniquely yours. Their calling does not require what yours does. Their path does not demand your exact combination of patience, resilience, and discernment. What you are stepping into requires a specific kind of strength, one that can only be built through the kind of waiting you endured. You were not delayed, you were being calibrated. There is also a releasing happening now, whether you are fully aware of it or not. Old expectations are loosening, the need for validation is weakening, the fear of disappointing others is beginning to fade as you realize that pleasing everyone has never been your assignment. You were never meant to be understood by all. You were meant to be obedient to what was placed within you, and obedience often looks like misunderstanding to those who cannot see beyond the surface. You may still feel fear, and that does not disqualify you. Fear, that's not the enemy here. Stagnation is. Fear can walk with you. Doubt can follow behind, but they cannot be allowed to lead. Leadership belongs to conviction, not comfort, and conviction grows stronger every time you move despite uncertainty. Each step you take rewires how you see yourself. You stop asking if you are capable and start discovering that you are already becoming. There will be moments ahead when you question whether you heard correctly, when challenges arise that make you wonder if you should turn back. This is not a sign you are wrong, it is a sign you are progressing. Resistance increases when movement is real. Opposition appears when purpose becomes active. Do not be surprised by this, expect it. And when it comes, remember that protection has already been assigned. You are not exposed, you are covered. Not because you are perfect, but because you are aligned. As you continue forward, you may notice how opportunities begin to appear in unexpected ways. Not all at once, not dramatically, but consistently. A conversation here, an idea there, a door opening just enough to invite curiosity. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations layered into your journey so that you do not lose heart. Pay attention to them. They are reminders that you are not imagining this path. It is responding to your movement. There will also be moments of solitude ahead, even as things begin to shift. Do not mistake solitude for isolation. Isolation drains. Solitude strengthens. Solitude allows you to hear clearly, to recalibrate when the noise of opinions grows louder. You will need this clarity to stay grounded as momentum builds. Not everyone who celebrates you now will understand you later. Not everyone who doubts you now will remain distant forever. Let people occupy their roles without resentment. Your focus must remain forward. You are learning now that faith is not passive. It is active trust. It is choosing to move even when your emotions fluctuate. It is committing to a direction even when the outcome is not guaranteed. This kind of faith reshapes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone waiting for permission and start recognizing yourself as someone entrusted with responsibility. That shift alone changes how you show up in every area of your life. As the message continues to unfold, you may feel a growing sense of urgency, not frantic, but focused. It sharpens your priorities. Things that once consumed your energy begin to feel less important. Distractions lose their appeal. You become more selective with your time, your words, your attention. This is not withdrawal, this is alignment. When purpose becomes clear, waste becomes uncomfortable. You may also experience moments of grief for the version of yourself that stayed small, that settled, that survived when thriving felt too risky. Allow that grief. It honors how far you have come, but do not let it anchor you. Gratitude and release must coexist. You thank the past for what it taught you, and then you let it go so it does not follow you into what is next. There's something else happening beneath the surface now. Your voice is changing, not in volume, but in authority. You speak with less explanation, less apology. You begin to trust your discernment more than external validation. This does not make you rigid, it makes you grounded. Grounded people are flexible without being fragile. They adapt without losing direction. This is the posture you are developing now. As you move forward, you will encounter choices that test your commitment. Opportunities that look good but pull you off course. Familiar patterns that try to resurface. Old relationships that attempt to reestablish influence. These are not accidents. They are checkpoints. Moments that reveal how serious you are about the direction you chose. You do not need to fight everything. You simply need to choose alignment over attachment. You may notice how your prayers begin to change as well. Less asking for signs, less bargaining, more clarity, more surrender, more willingness to be used rather than merely blessed. This shift marks maturity. It shows that you are no longer focused solely on what you can receive, but on what you are meant to steward. That mindset opens doors that entitlement never could. There will be times when progress feels slow, when results do not match effort, when patience is tested again. Do not interpret this as failure. Growth often happens underground before it becomes visible. Roots must deepen before expansion can sustain itself. You are still building foundation even when nothing appears to be happening. Trust the process you are in. It was designed specifically for you. As the rhythm of this calling continues, you may begin to sense that your life is no longer just about personal fulfillment. It is about contribution, about impact, about leaving something behind that reflects obedience rather than convenience. This realization may feel heavy at first, but it is also liberating. Purpose gives meaning to sacrifice. It gives context to struggle. It transforms pressure into responsibility rather than burden. You are not required to have everything figured out to continue. You are required to stay present, to remain responsive, to listen without overanalyzing. The message reaching you now will continue to unfold through experience, not explanation. Some understanding only comes after movement. Some clarity only arrives after commitment. Trust that what you need will meet you where obedience takes you. You may feel moments of fatigue ahead where the weight of responsibility presses in. In those moments, remember that strength is renewed, not stored. You do not need to carry everything at once. You are allowed to rest without retreating. Rest is not quitting, it is recalibrating. Learn the difference. Those who last understand how to pause without turning back. As the path continues to open, you will notice how the very things that once intimidated you begin to feel familiar. Challenges that once felt overwhelming become manageable. Not because they disappeared, but because you grew. Growth changes perspective. What once felt impossible now feels achievable. This is not arrogance, it is evidence. You are stepping into a phase where accountability increases, not just from others, but from yourself. You become more aware of your choices, your habits, your discipline. This awareness is not meant to shame you, it is meant to empower you. Responsibility is a sign of trust, and you are being trusted with more because you have proven faithful with less. The message continues to move with you. As a distant command, but as a steady presence. It reminds you when you drift. It steadies you when you doubt. It nudges you forward when fear tries to slow you down. You are learning to recognize this guidance not as pressure, but as partnership. You are not carrying this alone. You never were. And as you keep moving, keep choosing, keep aligning, you will begin to realize that the final chance spoken of was never about an ending. It was about a threshold, a crossing point between who you were and who you are becoming. And as you stand firmly in this transition, aware of the weight and the wonder of what is unfolding, the journey does not pause, the call does not fade, and the message continues to echo within you, urging you onward as each step reveals more of the path, more of your strength, more of the perp. O's that has been patiently waiting for you to arrive fully present and willing as the unfolding continues without pause, without conclusion, carrying you deeper into what has been calling you forward all along. And as you continue moving forward within this unfolding, you begin to notice how your inner dialogue starts to change. The questions shift from what if I fail to what if I don't try? And that shift alone alters the direction of your energy. Fear no longer dominates the narrative. It still exists, but it no longer decides. You begin to realize that courage was never the absence of fear, but the refusal to let fear hold authority over your choices. That realization strengthens you quietly, steadily, without announcement. You start to recognize patterns in your life that once felt random. Moments that seemed disconnected now form a thread. The lessons repeat not to frustrate you, but to prepare you. Each repetition refined your response, sharpened your awareness, strengthened your discernment. What once felt like delay now reveals itself as timing. What once felt like loss now reveals itself as protection. Perspective continues to shift, and with it, your sense of self becomes more anchored. There's also a growing awareness that you can no longer pretend you did not hear this call. Ignorance is no longer an option. The message has reached you at a level deeper than thought. It has settled into your knowing. And once something reaches that place, it cannot be undone. You can resist it, but you cannot erase it. This awareness carries responsibility, and responsibility carries weight, but it also carries purpose. You are not burdened, you are entrusted. As you walk further into this transition, you may feel moments of loneliness, not because you are alone, but because you are no longer where you were and not yet fully where you are going. This in-between space can feel uncomfortable. Familiar supports may no longer fit. Old routines may feel restrictive. Even familiar people may feel distant, not because of conflict, but because your alignment is shifting. This is a natural part of growth. Do not rush to fill the gap with noise. Allow the space to do its work. You are learning now how to listen differently, not just to external voices, but to the internal cues that guide you. Intuition sharpens, discernment deepens. You begin to trust your sense of timing, your sense of direction, your sense of when to speak and when to remain silent. This trust was earned. It was built through mistakes, through waiting, through learning when to move and when to pause. You did not arrive here by accident. There may be moments when you are tempted to explain yourself, to justify your choices to those who question your direction. But you will find that explanations often drain more energy than they give. Not everyone is meant to understand your path. Some are only meant to witness the result. Silence in those moments becomes a form of strength. You do not owe clarity to those committed to misunderstanding you. As the journey continues, your sensitivity increases. You become more aware of what drains you and what fuels you. Environments matter more. Conversations matter more. Even your thoughts carry more weight. You begin to protect your peace not out of fear, but out of wisdom. You understand now that peace is not passive. It must be guarded intentionally. And guarding it allows you to move with clarity rather than confusion. You may notice that old temptations resurface in subtle forms, not as obvious obstacles, but as distractions that seem harmless. Familiar comforts, old habits, safe patterns. These are not tests meant to punish you, but invitations to choose differently. Each choice reinforces your alignment or weakens it. There is no neutrality here. Awareness brings responsibility, and responsibility brings choice. As you continue forward, you may also encounter moments of unexpected joy, small victories, quiet confirmations, a sense of rightness that settles over you without explanation. These moments remind you why you moved in the first place. They refuel your commitment. They affirm that obedience carries its own reward even before outcomes manifest. There is also a deepening humility that develops alongside your growing confidence. You understand now that strength does not require arrogance. Authority does not require dominance. Leadership does not require noise. The most grounded people often move quietly, consistently, without the need to prove themselves. You are stepping into that kind of presence, one that does not seek attention but commands respect through integrity. As responsibilities increase, you learn to prioritize sustainability over speed. You understand that burning out does not serve purpose. You learn to pace yourself, to listen to your limits, to rest without guilt. This balance allows you to endure rather than rush. Endurance matters more than intensity. Long-term impact requires consistency, not constant urgency. You may feel moments where doubt resurfaces unexpectedly, triggered by setbacks or delays. When this happens, you are learning not to panic. You pause, you assess, you recalibrate. You do not abandon the path because of resistance. You recognize resistance as part of the process, not evidence of failure. This resilience marks a shift in maturity. You no longer collapse under pressure, you adapt. As the message continues to move with you, you become increasingly aware that your life is becoming more intentional. You make choices based on alignment rather than impulse. You say no without guilt. You say yes with conviction. This intentionality brings clarity, and clarity brings peace, not the absence of challenge, but the presence of direction. There may be moments ahead when others begin to notice the change in you. Some will be inspired. Others will feel uncomfortable. Not because you are doing anything wrong, but because your growth highlights their stagnation. Do not let their reactions pull you back into old patterns. Growth often disrupts familiar dynamics. Stay grounded, stay kind, stay firm. You are also learning that obedience does not always produce immediate applause. Sometimes it produces silence. Sometimes it produces misunderstanding, but it always produces alignment. And alignment produces strength. That strength carries you through seasons where affirmation is scarce. You are no longer dependent on external validation to confirm your direction. As you continue walking, you may feel a growing sense of responsibility toward others, not to rescue, but to serve in ways aligned with your calling. You understand now that you cannot carry everyone, and you are not meant to. You are meant to show what is possible through obedience, not to force others into your path. Influence grows organically when rooted in authenticity. There will be moments when you are required to make difficult choices that prioritize purpose over preference. These moments refine you further. They teach you how to lead yourself before leading anything else. Self-leadership becomes the foundation for every other responsibility you take on. Without it, nothing else holds. As the rhythm continues, you begin to sense that your life is no longer fragmented. The pieces start to integrate. Your values align with your actions. Your beliefs align with your behavior. This integration brings a sense of wholeness that cannot be manufactured. It emerges naturally when alignment is sustained. You may also notice that your tolerance for chaos decreases. You become less willing to entertain confusion, drama, or unnecessary conflict. This is not avoidance, it is discernment. You understand now that clarity is cultivated and chaos often enters through unguarded doors. You choose carefully what you allow into your space. As you remain committed, opportunities begin to require discernment more than ambition. Not every open door is yours to walk through. Some are distractions disguised as progress. You learn to ask deeper questions, to listen beyond excitement, to choose alignment over opportunity alone. This discernment protects your energy and preserves your focus. You are also learning that progress is not linear. There will be advances and pauses, growth and recalibration, momentum and rest. None of these negate your calling. They shape it. You no longer interpret pauses as failure. You see them as preparation for the next phase. As the message continues to unfold, you may feel moments of deep gratitude for the journey that brought you here. Even the difficult parts, especially the difficult parts. Gratitude anchors you. It reminds you that resilience was built, not given, and that what you carry now was earned through perseverance. You are stepping into a phase where your decisions carry greater influence, even when you do not intend them to. People observe consistency. They notice integrity. They feel authenticity. This influence is not something you chase. It follows alignment. Stay focused on the path, not the audience. As you continue forward, the call remains steady. It does not rush you, but it does not retreat. It moves with you, step by step, choice by choice, reminding you that this journey is ongoing, that growth is continuous, that alignment is maintained through daily decisions, not one-time moments. And as you keep moving, staying present, staying responsive, staying committed, the unfolding continues without closure, without finality, drawing you deeper into the purpose that has been shaping you all along. As the path stretches forward and the message remains alive, guiding you onward into what comes next and beyond that, and further still, as each step reveals another layer, another lesson, another opportunity to choose alignment again and again and again as the journey carries on. And so this moment arrives not as a threat, not as pressure, but as a sacred invitation to finally stand fully present in the life that has been calling you all along. You are not here by accident, and you did not hear this message by chance. Every delay refined you, every struggle strengthened you, every unanswered question trained you to listen deeper. What is being asked of you now is not perfection, but surrender, not certainty, but courage, not fearlessness, but faith in motion. You do not need to see the entire road ahead to take the step that is required now. Heaven responds to movement, strength is released through obedience, and clarity follows commitment. The protection surrounding you has not lifted, the guidance has not faded, and the calling has not expired. This is your moment to choose alignment over comfort, purpose over hesitation, obedience over delay. As you move forward, remember that you are supported, watched over, and strengthened beyond what you can see. The message has reached you because you are ready, and what you choose next will shape not only your path, but the lives touched by your courage to say yes and walk forward into what was prepared for you long before you ever felt ready.